Well, this kirtan is dedicated to Stan, who is Danae's father.
Danae's dad.
And it's also dedicated to my mother-in-law, who happens to be in intensive care right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
she has pneumonia and some like infection.
I hope things work out for her.
Abdominal infection, but she's been there for about a week or so now. She also has bad kidneys, so she gets dialysis 3 times a week.
Oh man.
But so she's got a lot of problems. But so we're gonna try to
Well,
say a
thank you
few
for that.
thoughts and prayers for her.
Yeah, thank you very much. Danae wanted me to tell you guys thank you so very much for this as well.
Stan did?
Well, him too, but
Danae, oh.
yeah, Danae. She's kind of like his spokesman right now because I was telling Scott, he's also a paranoid schizophrenic, and although he's kind of handled it pretty well over the years, now that he's very sick, it seems like there's a lot of mental and emotional problems that are really peaking now. And he's having a hard time really collecting his thoughts and articulating the things that he either needs or wants or things that he's thinking about. It's really scattered. So it's difficult to talk with him. And he's been an atheist for so long now that it's very difficult to talk to him about faith. So you got to kind of spoon feed him what he can handle a little bit at a time.
I saw that post that Danae put up there, though.
Yes, he's starting to
Facebook.
come around.
Because there's no atheists in the foxholes.
That's exactly what I told Danae. The same thing. Phrase.
I mean, a lot of people, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes even at the end of your life, if you can think, there's a story of a man named Brahmana. The Brahmana is like the intellectual or priestly caste in India. And
Are they like the top? Are they considered the top caste?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Brahmin is like the head of society,
Yeah. Okay.
And he was a very good Brahmana when he was young, but then he saw some prostitute and a man, like engaging in illicit activity, and he fell down from that, and he married that prostitute and did all kinds of horrible things. And then at the end of his life, he in India, like a lot of the kids are named after Vishnu or Krishna or Narayan, and he named his kid Narayan, which is the name of God. And so he was freaking out because he was dying, and he called out his kid's name, Narayan.
Okay.
Narayan, come here, And so the Yamadutas are like the messengers of death. The Yamaraj is the demigod that's in charge of punishing living entities who have done sinful activities or whatever.
Okay.
Everybody gets what they deserve and desire. But when Yamaraj takes you, it's you have to. The Yamadutas are his representatives, and they came because he was going to be arrested and be dragged to wherever he was going. There's different kinds of planets, that take care of the adjudication of conditioned souls.
Okay.
But anyway, he called out his son's name, and the Vishnu Dutas, who are the representatives of Narayan, they came and said, "What are you doing? This man is not to be punished because he called in the name of Krishna, Narayan, and he because he remembered in his heart from when he was a devotee, and he called the name, even though it was unknowingly, even though he was calling indirectly his son.
Okay.
Still, it had effect. His heart was purified. The Vishnu did told him to stop. They had a long conversation. They went to Yamaraj. Yamaraj straightened him out. He said, "Don't ever pick on the devotees, because." And the Yamadutas were bewildered because they knew he was sinful, but they didn't think anybody was above Yamaraj. Yamaraj is a demigod, very powerful demigod. But there's different departmental heads, in
So is there power in saying the name? Are you evoking the?
Yeah. See what it is. It's
himself?
like mantra means means mind, and tra means release. And so we're not the body, we're not the mind, but when my name, Shikshastika Das, The second verse of that name goes, my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction upon the living beings. And there are thus you have hundreds of thousands of names like Krishna, Govinda, Narayan, Jesus, Yahweh, Buddha.
Sure. Okay.
He's got millions of names, and you've invested all your energy in those names. And you make approach to you easy by chanting your name, but unfortunately I'm so sinful that I have no attraction for it. I can't chant, but if you, by the process of chanting, you eventually clear out the dirt from your heart, and it actually uncovers your real nature, which is who we really are. Every living entity is an eternal servant of Krishna, whatever God you want to call it. There's millions of names, but there's only one, the center of existence, the cause of all causes, and He's in charge of nature. So if you're obedient and surrender to that will by chanting His name, which is the only method of self-realization in this age, then everything works great. I mean, you have no problems, you have no anxiety. The only problem in this world is a lack of God consciousness or Krishna consciousness, whatever you want to call them. And so, all the scriptures of the world say, even the Christian scriptures, where there's two or more that you gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them. Yeah. The Sufis have their zikr, chanting. We used to have interfaith programs, and those were always the most enlivening, because the Yuga Dharma, the Yuga means the age. This is the most degraded age. You can tell just by looking around.
Is that the age of Kali?
Kali Yuga. Kali means the Iron Age. There's 4 ages: the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age. And this is the last age. That's
the demonic one, though. Isn't there?
Yeah,
a goddess
the Treta Yuga or the Sata Yuga, people were totally God conscious. They used to meditate. They'd lived for like 100,000 years, so they could meditate for a long time. But that's no longer, each time it goes down like in a factor of 10 for each age. And Kali Yuga, the age we're in now, is full of faults. We're lazy, misguided, unlucky, and always disturbed.
Sounds about right.
And we can't pay attention because there's so much advertising and crap going on around us, so we can't really meditate. And so the method of meditation in this age, the Brihadaranyaka Purana, one of the holy books of India, say that Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam, kalo nasdeva, nasdeva, nasdeva gatinandita, which means chant the holy name, chant the holy name, chant the holy name. There's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way for self-realization in this age. And so they said it 3 times for emphasis, so.
That's what the Bible does as well, 3 times for emphasis.
Yeah. If you want to say something really emphatic,
Can I add something?
Sure.
So, Krishna is non-different from his name.
Right.
So, I can't say cake and have cake appear there, because it is different from its name, but Krishna is non-different from his name, so when we say it, he's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you say Krishna, or you say any name of God, especially Krishna, Rama, Hare is the great mantra for deliverance. There's only 3 words. We put it together in a mantra of 16 words. But that's the great mantra for deliverance. And when you chant this name, Krishna's dancing on your tongue. He responds to anybody because he wants to deliver the conditioned souls, and everybody's suffering, because especially in this age, it's an ocean of faults. But that ocean, by chanting the name and surrendering to Krishna, becomes like the little bit of water that would be held in the calf's hoof print, and you can just easily step beyond it, because you can't. Just like when you're an addict or something, I went to a rehab because I was an alcoholic. I probably still am, I guess, but I haven't had a drink for a long time.
Oh, good for you.
But the thing is, if you surrender to that higher power, you can't do it unless you surrender to the higher power, and and have somebody help you. And you can't love Krishna. You can't understand how, because he's inconceivable. He's beyond our mind and senses. So he has to, by approaching him, he takes 10 steps toward you, and then he gives you himself, and you can realize, even though he's infinite and he has unlimited good qualities, we can't really understand him by our brain power. We can't understand him by empiric knowledge or philosophical speculation or fruitive works or charity or penance or anything. We have to please him by our service and by our submissive, humble attitude, and then chant his name, and he appears. And it's a most amazing thing. But it's like a club too. I like it. I used to think of this. That, you know, Krishna has a curtain of energy. My father is a very, very smart guy, and he's a total atheist. And doesn't matter how smart you are, if you have an inimical attitude or you have an envious attitude, Krishna has a curtain of yoga maya that he draws over himself, and he reserves the right not to expose himself to the fools and rascals. So therefore, it's like a club. You know, you go to a especially fancy club, you got a rope there. You know, you can't get in unless you you have the special the key. But
I always like the scripture from Jesus when he said, "Thank you, Lord, for hiding these things from the intellectual ones, but revealing them to babes." And that always meant a lot to me, and it kind of is in line with what you're saying.
Child will lead them, you know.
Yeah.
As innocent children.
Because really, to accept something new, you really do got to kind of become childlike. You need to have that curiosity and the innocence to be able to accept something new. I mean.
Well, because we become jaded, we think we know everything after a while.
Yeah.
You know, and then in order to approach this science, it is a science. It's very, very technical, but it's very, very easy to understand too if you're submissive. You can't really figure it out with your own brain power, but if you, it says in the Bhagavad Gita, you know, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service, and a self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Because the spiritual master is the living representative of God himself, and so he's to be treated as good as God.
Now, I read that pamphlet you gave me about the fellows, about that lecture that the one fellow gave. I don't remember his name.
Prabhupada.
Swami Swachaka, I don't know.
Srila Prabhupada. Yeah.
Whatever his name is, no disrespect. I'm just making light of it. But,
Yeah.
But anyway, he was talking about needing to find a spiritual master. Is it possible to find your God Krishna and be on his path of righteousness without a spiritual guru?
Well, that's very rare, but in the scriptures, it says that it's Ava is the word, which means you need a guru, because our tradition is coming from Krishna himself, and it's passed down from spiritual master to disciple, one after another. And Krishna had to speak the Bhagavad Gita again because sometimes it gets lost in human society. There are no teachers, and there is no memory of it in society, so therefore he has to come and speak it again. So Krishna says, whenever and wherever there's decline in religious principles and the rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself to kill the miscreants, like this guy here, and save my devotees, like this little boy, 5-year-old boy, Prahlad Maharaj. And he does that again and again in different yugas, in different pastimes, in different forms. He comes as a half man, half lion. He comes as a fish. He comes as a boar. He comes as a swan. He comes as a horse. All different species. And he's still the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, but his original form is Krishna. Okay. That's baby Krishna there, and that's his mother. She saw all of the universes within his mouth. But anyway, I don't want to talk too long because the main part of this thing is chanting and dedicating this service. But that's the meat of it.
Well, this is what you're going to get when you have me coming over. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, but I got one more question for you.
Sure.
You were talking about not being able to find the path to Krishna nowadays because of advertising and politics and all these other things. Would that be Maya?
Well, Maya is actually a Sanskrit term which means that which is not. We think we're the body, but we're not the body. I mean, if you look at your hand, is this me, my hand? It's my hand, but it's not I hand.
Right.
You know, and any part of the body is like, you can analyze the body and figure out, okay, I'm not the body because every 7 years every cell in the body changes. But still, I can remember what I did when I was a child. I was jumping around, and now I'm 62 years old. I can't jump around too much anymore, you know. But the thing is, you are the same individual, but every part of the body has changed. Who's this?
I'll get another chair.
Yeah.
asked Brahma to come. Anybody familiar with Brahma, who Brahma is?
The creator?
Yes, he's the engineer of this universe. When Krishna delegates authority to the universe, he delegates a manager and a creator, and that creator is Brahma. So Hiranyakasipu had worshipped Brahma, very severe austerities, and Brahma became pleased with him and appeared before him, and he said, "You can take some benediction from me." And Hiranyakasipu said, "I want the benediction of immortality." Brahma said, "I'm not immortal, how can I give that to you?" He said, "Okay, we'll give
He
you
did first, and then he came in with the heavy stuff. So I couldn't hear that first. There's no way.
Yeah. So, and you may be hearing it for the first time, but it'll begin to sink in and resonate with you. And then you can begin to see every living being as a soul. This body is a dress. Each lifetime you get a different dress. So she has a woman's dress on, I have a man's dress on, etc. So my body's getting old, her body's young. You know, these things, the body is changing. So you can begin to see not only is the soul there within the heart of also the human, but the pig, the dog, the cow, etc. And how God is there accompanying the living entity through the different species of life, waiting for him to turn, waiting for us to turn to him. But the process of yoga, the process of going to the church, offering prayers in church, are meant to stop you and go within and just meditate. Hear the voice within. He's in here and he's willing to talk to you if you turn to him. So the process of the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, all the scriptures are meant to turn you inward. Because these two eyes, you're not going to see him with these two eyes. You have to see him with inner vision. So the purpose of the chanting is to awaken the inner vision within the heart. And then you go inward. You'll find yourself more happy looking inward than looking at anything here, because everything here is temporary. The forms you see of your husband, your wife, your son, your daughter, your friends, those will all disappear. This is a changing environment. But Krishna never changes. So when you meditate on something that's eternal, and you leave your body meditating on that eternal form, then you won't take birth again in the material world. So it's a very, very, very beautiful process, and I'm glad we could all get together and chant together. You know, it's like wonderful. Thank you so much.